Panther Nation, Ropp Star Gang, what up, what up, what up? Welcome back to yet another edition of the Ropp Star Report. Guys, I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. The Carolina Panthers season comes to an end. And, I'm just glad it's over with, honestly, guys. It comes to an end. Appreciate everyone joining, though. Make sure you pound that like button as you're coming in. Get in the chat. Love to hear y'all's thoughts as we go throughout today's show. Got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the recap of the Bucks game, time to clean house, the head coaching search competition, let the chaos commence, David Tepper's intentions, Scott Fitterer firing, GM candidates, Bryce Young's rookie season breakdown. We're going to do that today. The biggest failures of the Carolina Panthers season. And then an off-season game plan, I think, that I've put together that I think would be sufficient for this team. So we got a lot to talk about. Today's going to be a good show. You're not going to want to miss this one, so make sure you pound that like button. Also, check out BetUS. The link tree is in my bio. Go check it, or in my bio, but also in this live stream. Go check it out. Sign up for free today. They'll match up to 125% bonus on your initial deposit, so go check it out. All right. Let me add that in there real quick. Yeah, let's put it right there. Perfect. So, this is where we face the aftermath of the Carolina Panthers train of a wreck of a season. And Panthers fans, because the 2023 season has become one of the worst in franchise history, now it's time to just take a breath before we dive into the wreckage together, because we're all in this void of screaming party together. All right. We went from the 2017 glory days to the 2023 horrors. It's been a joyless journey. Let's be honest. Okay. Remember in 2017, that was the last time we had something positive going on here. Winning seasons, playoffs, NFC title, the good old days. You fast forward to now, and it's been a downward spiral. And we try to cling to this hope and told ourselves this story about change. But the reality check here, though, guys, hit hard. Ron Rivera's stale coaching, the lack of change becomes synonymous with the Panthers and football. He got fired right over there in Washington yesterday, or this morning, And then there was that desperate quarterback quest, right, in 2020 to infinity and beyond, right? Because the Panthers' journey from hope in 2020 to the quarterback desperation in 2023 is really a tale of foolhardy trades, all right? Years of bad drafting, roster construction gone wrong, and a meddling owner. Blame everyone else if you want. But the 2023 season was the culmination of a series of unfortunate events that left us all shaking our heads. Okay? Frank Reich, the irony that unleashed. Okay? Enter Frank Reich. Okay? The supposed quarterback whisperer, right? The offensive guru, the collaborator extraordinaire. Instead, we got one of the worst statistical seasons from a rookie quarterback, an offensive line playing demolition derby, a coach outed as both rigid and obsequious. Trying to pronounce this word. I'm trying to use big words. Trying to use too much big words. But either way, the irony is so thick here, you could cut it with a butter knife. Because then you got Young's debut. Silent the judgment, whatever you want to do. We're not tearing apart Bryce Young's debut season, okay? I'm going to break it down today, but we're not going to tear it apart. Maybe not for years. The Panthers and their head coach are tied to him for at least another season. Well, let his second season speak for itself. Because here's a hint. If Young was part of the problem, he wasn't all of it. The entire team underperformed in spectacular fashion, all right? But we're trapped in this Panthers paradox. Big names, big decisions, right? Because we find out that ourselves in a self-made trap. Big names like Brian Burns, Frankie Luvu need sorting out. You got $40 million in cap space and 3 of your top 100 picks in the 2024 NFL draft. A new general manager, a new head coach are expected. So the resources aren't abundant. The question looms, who can Tepper attract to navigate this Panthers minefield? Because that's what it is. The 2023 season, guys, may be over, but the fallout is just beginning because with us here, because, well, misery loves company. We're going to have a lot of updates to navigate through the uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty here. And as always, y'all know what to do. You know what to do in these moments right now is you got to keep pounding. That is the narrative that we have to get back to. Run through a freaking wall if you got to. But you got to keep that culture in your mind of what represents the Carolina Panthers. And that is the culture we have to get back to. Let me get in the comments real quick. Got some comments here. We got a shutout twice in a row. I know, man. We're going to talk more about that. Chris Mack, what's up? It's like since we got blow out by the Steelers all those years back, we've never been the same. Someone mentioned that the other day, glitches, and I thought about it, and you're kind of right. I mean, and the other person I think's commented. I don't know. I remember who it was, but it's true. First time in Tepper history that he's going to hire a new coach, new GM and coach in the same offseason. Is Tepper learning? Yeah, he has to. We haven't, the last time we've done that, Chris Mack, was since 2002 that we hired a GM and a new GM and a new head coach in the same offseason. It's been since 2002, folks. 2002. It's crazy. It's crazy. Our quarterback journey under Tepper has been one big emotional roller coaster. It sure has. And it's one of those roller coasters that just keeps throwing you for a loop, through a loop, through a loop. And you're just wanting to get off at that point. I pray Tepper is learning to step back. Rumor has it may even ask this consulting firm to get a VP of operations for the team. Yeah, that sportsology consulting firm is interesting because the San Francisco 49ers used it. And ever since then, look what they've done. They started using it back in 2013, had one of their worst seasons that year. And then after that, they got him. And look what they've done since, but them being involved in their operations. So I'm not saying that that's going to turn things around here, but apparently there's more insight on that. I'm waiting for more news to come out on that. You know what I mean? Could we possibly get Steve Wilkes back? He would be my dream coach. I think Steve Wilkes is done. And I don't think Steve Wilkes will ever come back here because of David Tepper and how that whole fashion, came through, right? And Steve Wilkes would be a sucker to come back. He would. It would make him look. It would make him look not like, not stand on his word, not stand on his ground as a man. That's what I believe. I think that it would be a bad move for Wilkes to come back. Not saying I wouldn't want him, just saying I just think it would be a bad move for him. He might hire senior VP football operations as well. Yeah. I think Cam would be more of a president than a VP. But I mean, he could. You never know. They might start him in the scouting. They could put him in the scouting. I think Cam would be very good in scouting. I think that would be an interesting start for him if he came back to this organization. I could see Cam being very good at scouting. For some reason, You know what I mean? Like, I can see Cam Newton being very good at scouting. I don't know. I mean, what do y'all think? I mean, if they're bringing in this group, right, and this firm to help us out, which I read a little bit on it about it, that's saying that they worked for San Francisco. Like I said, one of their worst years, they brought this firm in, and they've basically turned the San Francisco 49ers around, because, I mean, look at them now. But I don't know. It's gonna be interesting offseason, man. It's just hoping that they make all the right moves at the end of the day. 19 people watching. Make sure you pound that like button. I greatly appreciate it. That goes a long way. The more you like, the more you subscribe, it helps out the channel. I'm not asking for any money. I just would love it if you just pound the like button. That goes a long way. All right. I'm not here for money. I'm here to talk Carolina Panthers football, NFL football, and enjoy y'all's company that coming in here. Would not be surprised if the new head coach and GM trade back and take 0 wide receivers in this draft. I don't know, AJ. I don't think that's something they would do, especially if it depending on who the GM is and the coach is. I just don't see that happening. Maybe not in the draft. They might go free agent route. I mean, they're gonna, but the problem is this whole scenario with the cap space, right? You only have $40 million in cap. You need wide receiver help. You need offensive line help. You need corner depth. You need defensive tackle depth. The issue is the cap space and the draft. And you don't have a number 1 overall pick, so you're going to have to make some decisions. I don't see them not getting a wide receiver. Whether it's in the free agency or whether it's in the draft, I just don't see it. I don't see it. I can't wrap my mind around them not getting a wide receiver. So, what's up, Pantherology? I know this sounds crazy. Do you think the NFL is scripted, rigged? Like they said, the NFL is using the Panthers and Falcons as jobber teams. Sometimes I wonder. I don't know, Trebo. I think that's something that's always going to be a speculation with the NFL, right? A lot of people believe in that. A lot of people believe in it, and that's why a lot of people transition more towards the college football, right? But college football could also be scripted. A lot of pro sports could be scripted though too. I mean, it's some people do believe in it. Some people do. I'm one of those that's kind of skeptic on it. One minute I can see it. Next minute, I'm just like, how is that possible? So it's tough to say. And I don't think we'll ever know. You know what I mean? David Tepper ruins everything. Yes. He has for the past 6 years. Cam does need to be something in the organization, even a QB coach to help Bryce. Yeah, I mean, Glitches, I think Cam could definitely benefit this organization in a multitude of ways, just because of his experience, being here and stuff like that, his offensive minded, and the quarterback minded that he is, his elite, and just, I think that he could be very, very good. That's what I'm saying, AJ. I think Cam. I think the best thing that you could do if you want to bring a Cam and these old heads back, and I mean, I know they're not old heads because they're not that old, but you know what I mean. Like the guys, the veteran guys. If you want to bring those veteran guys in, you know what I mean. Bring a Cam Newton, bring a Luke, put them in the scouting team. I mean, I think those guys could definitely be very good scouts at bringing in talent here. If you want to, if you want to bring some scouts in, I think those two guys I'm looking at. Even maybe Greg Olsen. If Greg Olsen wants to get away, that's a good way for these guys. Like if Olsen wants to get into coaching, or maybe Luke does, or maybe Cam does. Maybe them getting into something, starting off at the bottom, like in a scout team. I know it's not the president or the VP, but it's a good way for these guys to get their foot in the door in that aspect of things. I just think that it would be smart though, because I could see both of them being very good scouts. All three of them, honestly. With Scott Fitterer gone now, maybe we can capitalize on draft picks. Maybe. Again, it all depends who they hire. I'm so happy Scott's out of here. Yeah, me too. Supernova, he thinks it's scripted, especially the playoffs. I mean, honestly, you couldn't script up a better picture with this playoff picture, right? You got Stafford going back to Detroit, right? You've got Cleveland going up against the Ravens. So Flacco versus the Ravens, right? You've got Kansas City and Miami playing in Miami. No, playing in Kansas City. My bad. But Tyreek goes back to KC. You got the Bills. Who are they playing? Who are the Bills playing? I don't even know who the Bills are playing. I got to look at the playoff chart. But then on the other side, you've got on the NFC side, I can see how they could script it. But again, we'll see. We'll see. I'm just not too sure about the scripts of the NFL. It's a speculation. It's always going to be a speculation. Not Panthers related, but y'all ready to see if they're in the national? Oh, dude, if the NCAA football game comes out, I will be pre-ordering that right now. I am pre-ordering it right on the spot. As soon as I can find out when that pre-order date is, I am going to buy the NCAA football game immediately. It's been 11 years since we've had a true think about it. It's been 11 years since we've had that NCAA game. I would love to have that back. That game is golden. That game is golden. And I don't know why they ever stopped making it. Never will understand that. I don't think the NFL is rigged, though those refs, yeah, definitely favorite teams. I would think. I mean, the ref thing, that could be the issue, right? You know, I think the ref thing definitely could be something that we could definitely discuss in regards to scripted. And, you know, the whole ref thing, I think the whole ref thing needs to be addressed. I think that the NFL needs to hire refs and make them full time and train these guys all off season, just like these teams start preparing. Same thing. Train these guys to make sure they make the right calls, make sure to know which calls to review and all that. So you don't have this issue with some of these calls. There's got to be some way to make it better. Good afternoon, Sideburn. Appreciate you joining, man. Appreciate you joining. 20-30 million for 8 sacks. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, I mean, I don't see them. Like I said, Burns will be tagged and trade. Watch. Mark my words. And you'll get a mid-first round and a third rounder at best. Cam just wants VP of football operations, but he's got no interest in coaching. Interesting. Well, again, I think him on the scouting team would be absolutely awesome. I think Cam Newton as a scout would be very, very good. I could see it. If not, he needs to go into college and be a recruiter because I think he could talk some kids into going to Auburn University if he wanted to do that for him. If the podcast thing don't work out, Cam, I'm telling you right now, you'd be great at scouting. I think he would be very good at scouting or recruiting. I really do. But Greg Olsen does have interest. So I think he would be also great at scouting. I'd love to bring him into scouting. Now, Steve Smith, absolutely not. I would not bring Steve Smith. I maybe make him a wide receivers coach, but I would not make him a scouting guy because he is not hit on any of the scout reports he's ever given out. I'd love to see Cam part of the scouting team department. Yeah, me too, James Carter. Thank you for joining. Fresh start now, just trying to build it up right. Yes, sir, Isaiah. Thank you for joining. No, Mad Chatter. No, I don't need anyone blocked. Everybody in here is awesome, okay? Everybody that's in here is more than welcome, okay? This is a safe place, dude. God, just kidding. Yeah, the NFL scripted. James Carter believes it. James Carter is a scripter believer. PI calls are different in the playoffs. Interesting. Catching balls is also different in the playoffs too, Supernova, which is interesting with the Dallas and Green Bay game coming up. Thielen, sounded like he didn't want to stay, and Hurst said Bryce had too many people telling what to do. I mean, that's coming from firsthand that someone saw it firsthand, so it's hard to argue. It's hard to argue. Later, Fitterer, absolutely. Still don't know how we beat the Texans. Me neither. League is rigged. All right, let's move on to the next. Let's get into the game recap against Tampa Bay. I'll get back to your comments here shortly. Lost game recap. 0-9. The first quarter, let's talk about the first quarter because that was a prelude to the whole disaster. Baker Mayfield was playing catch with Mike Evans. He was exploiting Dante Jackson like a Black Friday sales. Let's be honest. That's why Dante Jackson needs to be traded. You're going to be paying him $15.8 million if you don't. So you might as well trade him and save yourself $15.8 million. Missed interceptions that haunted us like ghosts of this whole season's past. Chuba had a nice run in the first quarter. Bryce Young's attempt at aerial glory resulted in a sack, setting the tone for the offense's horror show. Now the second quarter, okay, the fumble fiasco, okay, DJ Chark touchdown attempt turned into a fumble recovery for the Bucks. The defense held strong, forcing a 3-and-out, and only Adam Thielen to drop a gift wrap pass. The Panthers offense resembled just a deflated balloon, literally. Derek Brown made history with 100 tackles, so shout out to him, Derek Brown, getting that big feat in NFL history. So shout out to Derek Brown, big teddy bear man. Extend that dude right now. But the Bucks took a lead, 6-0 lead. Then in the third quarter, that's where false hope and missed kicks happen. It was a glimmer of hope for the Tampa Bay offsides, but then alas, a false start killed any momentum. Derek Brown sacked Mayfield, the defense doing their part. However, missed a 52-yard field goal by Matthew Wright. Left the Panthers fans cursing at the football gods. I was cursing at the TV. That's why I can't do live streams anymore, guys. I'm about to put my foot through the TV during these football games. If things get better, I might get back to the live streams and when watching the games. Because right now, I obviously the season with everything going on, it was so hard for me to do a live stream and watch these football games. So it's hard enough even just watching them by myself or even with friends or family. Then the fourth quarter, touchdown denied, fumbled, sealed the fate. Raheem Blackshear touchdown celebration cut short by an illegal formation penalty, ensuring the play saw Young's fumble, sealing the fate of any comeback. The Bucks added insult to injury with a field goal and then just buried us from there under a 2-score deficit. The overview of that whole game yesterday, though, Bryce Young's 94 yards, just an offense stuck in the mud, man. That's just showcased an offense stuck in the mud. 2 touchdowns were snatched away from us by individual blunders. Derek Brown stood tall, reached 100 tackles. Even his efforts couldn't salvage this sinking ship. Really, as that final whistle blew, guys, the Panthers season ends in a symphony of suffering, okay? The focus now shifts off to the offseason, the looming head coach search, the GM head coach search. We just got to brace ourselves for what's coming next. It can't get any worse, right? I've always been saying, though, on this channel, it's going to get worse before it gets better. It's going to get worse before it gets better. All right? I disagree with Steve Smith, though. He was right on Zay Flowers. Yeah, but he's been more wrong than right, Cybird. Trust me. Trust me. He's been more wrong than right. Trey Burns. Yeah, it's going to happen. Mad chatter. He's going to get tagged and trade. Watch. Don't re-sign Chark. I was on the train after those 2 or 3 games. It was great. Now I'm done. I'm done defending that man. It's time to move on from him. Trade Thielen to the Bills if he want out. He good. Yeah, I think Thielen wants to go. I think that's someone they're going to have to look at trading too. There's a lot of guys that I think that they need to look at trading. If they can move on from Miles Sanders, great, but someone's going to have to take part of that contract. Move on from Dante Jackson. Saves you $15.8 million in contract. You should have never signed Von Bell. You should have kept Jeremy Chin in that position, and now you have to pay him, but you might as well trade him. Okay? Use Jeremy Chin. He's so much better. All right? You got to trade away TMJ. He wants out of here, right? You need to trade away Hayden Hurst. He's hurting us doing us any good. And I would try to trade, obviously Burns. I'm trying to think who else I would trade. I got 6 right now. I'm trying to think. Thielen, like I said, yeah. So I mean, there's like multiple guys. There's like at least 6 to 8 players I would try to trade. I mean, you might as well just get draft capital or maybe some assets back. You know what I mean? You might as well just start fresh. Time to clean house, start fresh. It's just like what I said before, and I'll say it again, guys. It's just like the Grinch and the Grinch Stole Christmas, where he's standing there and he looks inside the house and he goes, "Everything must go." That's where we need to, that's what we need to be thinking in our mindset. That whoever the next GM is and the next head coach needs to clean house. Let's talk about Icky. He's been bad. We need to move into left guard. I mean, again, you're going to be paying him $20 million to be a left guard. Granted, I still think it's the right move because, again, he doesn't move like one. He does not move like a left tackle. Yes, you're going to pay him like a left tackle, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to get one in this draft. I think that if you make the Burns trade and you trade some of these other players, you're going to be able to get draft capital and you're still going to be able to get a left tackle, whatever the case may be. I saw Icky's interview. I think that Icky he said that he didn't play his best and that he needs to work on his craft. And that's for damn sure he does. He definitely does. Do we re-sign Troy Hill? Absolutely. Great in the nickel. He's great in the nickel. I tried to trade TMJ, Bad Chatter. I think you can try to at least get a 5th or 6th out of him. Do we want to re-sign Deshaun Williams? No. I don't think so. No. You don't want to re-sign him either. Trade Horn before he gets injured. Horn freaking balled out yesterday, man. Balled out. Horn balled out yesterday. He is a stud yesterday out there. Did y'all see what Eric Ebron said about the Fitterer firing? Yeah, I saw it. Eric Ebron, your time has come and gone, my friend. Sorry. You were great in Detroit. I think that was about it. I don't think Eric Ebron did anything else except when he was in Detroit. Trade Dante Jackson, yes. You'll save yourself $15.8 million. Can't trade Shaq. We pay too much. Absolutely, you can't trade him. Won't do any good. Why would you pay? I can't explain that. That's I wouldn't. I can't. Again, I can't. I feel like you trade Horn while he's healthy for a few games. I think he still will carry a trade value. I mean, AJ Brooks, you might. I think if you don't get at least a 3rd round for him, or second, like if you don't get at least a 3rd round. Now, if you can get a 2nd round out of him, great. But if you can't get at least a 3rd round out of him, I wouldn't trade him. I wouldn't trade it because you took him at number what? We took him at 8, right, in that draft. We took him at 8 or whatever it was. So, you passed up on Patrick Surtain. You passed up on Micah Parsons. You could have had both of them. Justin Fields, Schittenkampen had tried Icky at left guard back at the beginning of the season when Brady was still healthy to be left tackle. Again, chances, taking chances like that, Elizabeth, it's tough, right? It's tough, to make that correct decision as that offensive line coach. You're not too sure. He could have done that. But maybe they saw, during the offseason, we were hearing how great he was playing. During the whole OTAs, during the whole training camp, we heard everybody was saying Icky's playing great, he's doing good, and we were hearing on the news about that. So they didn't think that they needed to. But boy, they were wrong. Just like everything else they hyped up, Elizabeth. Just like they hyped up everything else, saying that all we needed was a quarterback. Or like when Scott Fitterer would say up at the podium, there was only one box that we didn't check off. Oh, I know in the preseason games he looked trash. I'm just saying in the OTAs and the training camp, that's all they were talking about for him. saying he's great. He's doing awesome. Bunch of bullshit that was. Should have traded Shen. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys we might not even be able to trade. We might end up just having these guys walk, unless somehow this next GM comes in and pulls a miracle, right? If he can pull a rabbit out of his ass. AJ Brooks, I agree. Chances that we get Mike Evans, probably very slim. He wants a big contract. I've been seeing that Mike Evans wants around. Let me see here. I saw it the other day. His market value is pretty up there. But Mike Evans, he's looking for a 3-year, $69 million contract, $23 million per year, $52.5 million total guaranteed. You're not getting him, DC Gambler. We're not getting him. He wants too much money. He wants too much money. Our roster is up for free agency. We need to keep Brown. Yep. Luvu. Yep. Troy Hill. Yep. Trade Burns. Okay. I'm cool with that. Trade Horn. Dante Jackson gets a captain. I mean, James Carter, I don't disagree with it. The only one I might disagree with is Horn. I think that after what I saw from him yesterday, and if he can stay healthy, man, that dude's a lockdown corner if he can stay healthy. I know that the health issues is a thing, and that's why you want to trade him. So I get that. So I totally get it. I wouldn't be mad about it, but it would also make me think a little bit. That's all I'm saying. Icky looked trash in preseason. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I already said that back to you, Elizabeth. Sorry. All right. Interesting to see what the new staff will do with Icky and Brady. Yeah, I mean, the problem is with Brady, though, is how bad that shoulder injury is, right? The biggest issue I think that we're going to have to hit this offseason, though, let's say we don't go left tackle and left guard, right, Cyburn? If we don't go left tackle and left guard, right, you keep Icky at the left tackle position. You keep Brady Christensen at the left guard, right? Let's say they just go that route. You have to draft a center and a right guard in this draft, because Bozeman has fallen off a cliff. All right. He is just continuing to get worse and worse and worse as the season gone on. Number 2, there is no telling how good Austin Corbett's going to be when he comes back. He tore that ACL. Now he tore his MCL in that same knee. That he might be done. And depending on how bad Brady Christensen's shoulder is, he could also it could be a big issue too. So you might have to go left guard. You're going to have to overhaul this whole offensive line, depending on literally 3 people. And that is on Bozeman, if he can come back, Corbett, especially depending on how bad that injury is and how bad the MCL is, on top of the ACL that he just tore before, coming back this year. And then you've got the shoulder injury of Brady Christensen, which I've heard that is a bad shoulder injury that he's had. And it takes it's almost like tearing an ACL in your knee. Same thing. It's just like in your shoulder. So you're going to literally have to look at the left guard position, the center, and the right guard. And then you're going to have to think about the left tackle position if you decide to not move Icky to the left guard. So there is that multiple scenarios here of how you're going to maneuver this team around, right? So again, guys, it's tough. It's tough. Trade, come on, man. He just got here. God. James Carter, I'm going to give Mingo a chance. I'm going to give him another year. I always hurt. He always hurt crazy. Yeah. I wish we fired Tepper, Humpy Dumpty looking ass. You can't fire an owner, unfortunately. That's big if with JC. Yeah, it's just iffy for me a little bit, Vietnam. I get why James Carter is saying it, but it's just a little iffy for me. That's all. I'm not saying would be mad about it, but I wouldn't say I would be happy about it. I'm like 50-50 on it. Yeah, I think Corbett might be gone, man. I don't think they'll trade him. I don't know what they're going to do. You can't do anything really with him right now. You're just stuck with him. I agree with that. I get that through your head. I'm very mad right now. You're always mad. That's why you're called Mad Chatter. Brady said he was cleared off for off-season work today. I think he'll be fine, but I agree with the rest. Yeah. Well, let's hey, we'll see. If we could, I'd be dancing, man. I feel you. I feel you. All right, let's move on to the next topic. Time to clean house. Okay, time to clean house. All right. This is my Monday afternoon roast. Okay, this is where I'm going to dive headfirst into this wreckage of the Panthers' disastrous season. And let me be a spoiler alert about what I'm about to say. It's time to clean house. And I'm not holding back on this one. Okay. Opening, all right. Hope turned to ash is what I'm going to go with here. Hope turned to ash, right? Remember the optimism at the start of the season? Y'all remember that? Because I'm about to go off. The hope that veteran head coach Frank Wright, all right, armed with a star-studded coaching squad with a rookie sensation at quarterback, would lead to glory. Whether that ship sank faster than a lead balloon. And then the whole play calling carousel. An 0-6 start triggered panic. Wright panicked. He started feeling the heat. Hand over play calling to duty to Thomas Brown. A messy win against the Texans offered a brief, breath of fresh air, whatever you want to call it. But it was just downhill from there. Wright snatched back the reins, only to find himself on the unemployment line again. He had to update that resume, download LinkedIn and Indeed to figure out what he's going to do now. And after a loss to the Titans, just talk about a coaching carousel. And then the Fitterer, Scott Fitterer, the man behind the curtain, crafted a roster resembling a sinking ship. Last year's post-rule surge was a distant memory. With 3 consecutive losing seasons and a contender for the franchise worst, Fitterer's seat is scalding. And it got him fired. It's time, and he cut ties. He finally cut ties. So the reckoning of the entire kingdom. Because let's not stop at Fitterer, guys. This is my roast right now. The entire court, front office, scouting department, and roster needs a reckoning. After this debacle we witnessed, hitting the reset button is not a choice, it's a necessity. Keep the few shining stars. Like I've said before, I'll say it again. You got to keep these guys, all right? Or you're going to keep these guys. And if you can keep some of these guys, right? Obviously, we're stuck with Bryce, but you got to keep Derek Brown. You got to keep Frankie Louvu. I think it's too early. Some of us feel, and I feel that with Ike Ekwonu, you got to move into left guard, like we were just talking about. But I think it could be still too early to judge. I'm not too sure yet with that whole situation. I'd love to keep Burns here, but he's not worth $30 million to me. I'd love to keep J.C. Horn here, but his health issues bothers me. So the rest of the team, though, no one's safe, okay? Total overhaul needs to be done on this offense, okay? Let me know when I'm lying, okay? Because the offensive side of the ball needs more than a facelift. It needs a reconstructive surgery. It needs a reconstructive surgery. Because with the potential departure of nearly 30 faces on this team, we're not just talking about a makeover. We're talking about a complete culture reset, a seismic shift to forge a winning identity. It's time to come in like Miley Cyrus on a wrecking ball and freaking clean house. Because as this dust settles on the season from hell, the Panthers stand at crossroads here. It's not about salvaging a sinking ship. It's about building a fleet that can weather any storm. Does that make sense? I mean, tell me when I'm lying. Tell me when I'm lying. How pissed would we be as a fan base if if we don't draft offensive line help? If you don't do it in the draft, you better do it in the free agency. And if you don't do that, then we got a problem. And whoever that next GM is, I don't think it would be that dumb. I don't think that the next GM that they're going to bring here is going to be a Scott Fitterer. Clay, who's your first choice for a head coach? Honestly, at this point, Jim, I want anybody that can come here and bring back that keep pounding culture. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Ben Johnson. I don't care if it's Eric Bieniemy. I don't care if it's Slowick over there at the Texans. I don't care if it's Mike McDonald. I don't care if it's Dan Quinn. I don't care if it's Steve Wilkes. I don't care if it's Jim Harbaugh. I want a head coach that's going to change the culture back to the keep pounding days. That's all I care about. I don't care if he's offensive minded or he's this offensive guru or defensive guru. I need someone that's going to come in here and be like, I don't put up with nobody's shit. We're going to, keep pounding. I want a guy that's got that grit who's going to come in here and let people know what the hell is going on. And none of this yes man mentality, because that shit's got to go. That shit's got to go. People, listen, I've stood up to my bosses before. I've had bosses talk down to me that I didn't think that was right, and I let them know. The same thing that you got to do even with the owners. And I've done that to an owner. You, as a GM and a head coach, comes there and you get hired to do that job, right? That's what the owner does. To handle the football operations, to coach the football team. You have to be willing to stand up for what you believe in and say, hey, man, you hired me to do this. Don't tell me how to do my job. Let me be the football mind. You go worry about your hedge funds. That is what I want in the next head coach. I want somebody who's going to stand up to David Tepper and say, nah, we're not drafting this guy. We're going to get this guy because I know football talent when I see it. Not because he's a big name, not because he's a national champion, not because he's got a Heisman, but because he's a good football player and he's going to be very good in the NFL. And not because he failed a stupid IQ test. Like, this shit's got to stop, man. See, Ropp, the Wilkes Bridge has been burned. He's not coming back unless it's West Charlotte High School, his alma mater, brother. Yeah, I know that. Oh, I've been known that. That's why I was telling people Steve Wilkes will never come back here. He would look like a sucker. Like I said, he would look like a sucker if he came back. Because then that means he doesn't stand on what he believes in. Even as much as maybe he would love to come maybe coach this team. But it's not something that you go out of your word for. Man, the lies they sold us on a coaching staff, we should be able to sue for false advertising. I wish. Frank Wright seemed like he just watched shit unfold negatively. I told you all every time that man stepped at the podium, he looked like he drank a 12-pack of Budweiser and smoked about pack of 2 or 3 packs of Marlboro 100s. It's like, he said those meetings were never fun. So if David Tepper's throwing drinks at fans, what is he doing in those meetings? He trade, then we should, then we don't, we should, yeah. Scout team need a coach and a GM who will tell Tepper to shut it. Yeah, exactly. Yep. David Tepper has a chance to learn from this and maybe not interfere where he shouldn't. Or maybe he'll try to prove us wrong, fuck up again, do things his way. Well, once that happens, then I guarantee you, if this happens, I guarantee you the NFL will step in again. If this happens for another 3 to 6 years, the NFL will step in. because they will be wondering why the Carolina Panthers are not bringing in any ratings and money for the NFL. What benefits that do? I guarantee you the NFL will step in if that happens for another 30. If this happens for another 36 years, I guarantee you somebody will. We need speed at wide receiver that can catch. Absolutely. 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 I try, Jen. I try to spit some facts here. Serious problem. If we don't draft offensive linemen, side wide receivers, or vice versa, we're in trouble. Absolutely. There's no question upon that. There's no question upon that. I think you also got to get help within the defensive line too, though. You got to help Derek Brown out. See, Ropp, that Wilkesboro. Yeah, yep. James Carter says you're totally right, bro. I try to be sometimes, man. I try to be sometimes, I try to be. My hope is that we can get good quality since no one wants to work for Tep. Again, I know that money talks, but money isn't everything. Money isn't everything for these guys, and for certain coaches, right? So, again, it's all about bringing that culture change at GM and head coach back. I heard a reason Trooper through the cup that was a Jags fan was making fun of Marquise Haynes, and again, that's allegedly stuff. And if it was, great, I'll stand with Tepper on it. But if it's not, but we'll never know. We will never know what that really is. So we talked about cleaning house. Now let's talk about the next topic, because now there's some serious competition going on with this whole head coaching search, right? Because Ben Johnson obviously has been the hottest ticket in town in Charlotte. Okay. We know David Tepper has his eyes on Ben Johnson, and it's not exactly a secret, guys. Okay. But guess what? The thing is that the hottest ticket in town is getting a flirtatious glance from more than just the Panthers. Okay. Johnson, who has been that offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, who's been that offensive guru, so to speak, is they're saying this guy is the last piece of chocolate in a box and everybody wants a piece, right? But the Washington Commanders rise from the ashes in this aspect of things, because because the Washington Commanders have joined the party. Fresh off of beating Rivera, they've thrown their hat into that ring faster than you can say Dan Snyder who. They've got the cap space. They've got the draft picks. The ambitions are bigger than their press release. It's like the Commanders are screaming, we are a contender, and we want everyone to know it. But here's the thing. Is David Tepper breaking the bank for Ben? Because David Tepper, the man who's burning contracts like a disgruntled ex-girlfriend of yours, right, wants Ben Johnson, but he wants him bad. Despite still paying off the ghost of coaching past, Frank Wright, Matt Rule. We're looking at you. Yep. Tepper is ready to break the bank. And if moving mountains was a sport, Tepper would be the MVP every year. Okay? Because Johnson might be a hot commodity, but Tepper's checkbook is even hotter. So now you've got this whole showdown, the Panthers versus the Commanders. So who's the more attractive suitor for Ben Johnson, right? Well, once upon a time, the Panthers had that charm, the location, the taste of success. Now it's more of a nuanced debate, because the Commanders, once a sleeping giant, are ready to take and shake off the shackles of that Schneider era. Cap space, again, draft assets, the number 2 overall pick in the 2024 draft. That's a more tempting package. Now, Tepper, though, seems to be involving his strategy, seeking consultants and a buffer between himself and a coaching staff. Panthers fans, rejoice. Our suffering might ease up just a little bit, because Tepper's new tune might be music to Ben Johnson's ears, okay? Tepper's changing his tone and his music to the ears of every Panthers fan now. Firing Fitterer, hiring consultants, keeping his distance. It's like he's finally realizing that meddling billionaires and football decisions just don't mix. Right? If Johnson's smart, though, he'll see the positive sign in the chaotic decision, making the world of the Carolina Panthers. Okay? But the conclusion of this whole thing is that the battle lines are drawn. The games have begun. The Panthers versus Commanders. Who will emerge victorious in the Ben Johnson sweepstakes? I don't know. Continue to tune in and we'll find out together. Again, the whole thing here is that the only reason why I'm bringing the Ben Johnson thing up, there's 27 people watching, only 19 likes. Make sure you pound that like button. I would really appreciate it. There's no reason why we shouldn't be at 27 likes. But the issue here is that I'm not saying I want Ben Johnson, guys. Obviously, his name is just getting thrown around very often and effectively through this team. So we'll see what goes on as time goes on. All right. But this whole thing is already going crazy. Chris Jenkins is my choice to match with Derek Brown. The heritage factor, along with the fact that Jim Harbaugh calls you a mutant, has me sold. I feel you, man. Chris Jenkins is good, man. He looks pretty freaking solid. Oh, Toxic Black. What's up, my friend? What's up, my friend? Sorry to hear about your loss, but I'm sure you're happy that I'm sure you're happy that head coach is gone of yours. I am sure you are happy that head coach is gone of yours, Mr. Arthur Smith. I hope he doesn't promote Dan Morgan GM. I don't see it happening, Jen. I really don't. I don't see it happening. What about Jim Harbaugh or Eric Bieniemy? I mean, Vietnam, I would love it. I think Jim Harbaugh or Eric Bieniemy are both culture-changing head coach. I think Eric Bieniemy is one of those guys that could be like a Mike Tomlin, who is going to, get in your face, let you know what's up. He did that with Patrick Mahomes, and and I like that. But he's like a motivational guy too. I think those two guys would be great. I just don't see it. I just don't see Jim Harbaugh. I know has been thrown around here. I just don't know if I see it because of the contract offer he's already received from Michigan. Again, it all depends also on this whole narrative of the Michigan ordeal with the whole accusations upon the university, right? So it all depends. Falcons. Bill Belichick been around the Falcons' next head coach. I mean, I could see it. But, I mean, also Justin Fields and Jaden Daniels has also been thrown around the Falcons, too. So, who knows, man? Who knows? We'll see what happens for Atlanta. We'll see what happens for Atlanta. All I know is that whoever your next head coach is, you better get a quarterback because Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke ain't going to get you anywhere. Ain't going to get you anywhere. I highly doubt it as well. Hey, I said this a couple Panthers fans. I know I said Mike Evans could be the Panthers next year. I don't know if y'all would take him. I just don't think we can afford him. Toxic. I was just mentioning that. He wants like a 3-year contract worth like 60, like I think I said 63 mil, something like that. It's like 23.5 million a year. And it's like 52.5 million guaranteed. I'm not paying that man. I know he's good. He's put up 1,000 yards in the past, 10 straight seasons or whatever, but he's 30 years old. I'm not paying a guy like 30 years old that amount of money at wide receiver when I could get a Marquise Brown and possibly somebody else probably for the same price. I could get 2 wide receivers for the price of 1. Yeah, I mean, Mike Evans is elite, but I'm not paying him that amount of money. Just not. It does me no favors. It just kills my cap space. And we need the more cap space right now, the better. And I'd rather spend the money on the offensive line and draft wide receivers than doing that. Or, vice versa. If we go offensive line in this draft and then we, needed to get some wide receivers and we got some cap space available and made some trades and all that, I may look into it. I know, but the age catches up sooner or later. It does. And I don't see Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans might get another 1,000-yard season and maybe 2. And then in that 3rd year, he will start plummeting. And that's really when it starts happening, when you're 33 years old. I just don't trust it. I don't trust it. I'm sorry. So let the chaos commence, guys. All right. Let the chaos commence. Because the Tepper circus is still in town. This whole Tepper's offseason demolish derby has officially begun. Scott Fitterer now is in the unemployment line. All right. The GM is out. Tepper's appetite is changing again. But the firing frizzy, let's talk about that. The dust settles on the worst season that we've ever had, right? So what's Tepper's remedy here? Well, obviously it started off with firing the GM. And a day after a pitiful performance against the Buccaneers, Fitterer gets the pink slip. He's gone, right? It's like Tepper's playing chess, and the pieces are the front office casualties. Next thing is the Fitterer's fumble. Let's dissect a little bit, okay? The Fitterer legacy. Since hiring in 2021, the Panthers have been the NFL's punching bag, boasting a winning percentage lower than a sub-basement nightclub. Okay, draft picks and free agents, Pro Bowlers are rare than a unicorn sighting. Even Stephon Gilmore's Pro Bowl visit felt like a consolation prize. But Fitterer, the supposed consensus builder, couldn't say no often enough. Robbie Anderson extension, the Rural Pet Project. We all know how that turned out. Traded Christian McCaffrey, moved so many questionable, even Peter King's eyebrows raised. Fitterer's refusal to trade Brian Burns to the Rams for a treasure chest of picks still haunts me to think about a little bit. The Burns production drops, and we're left with what? A GM holding on to hope like a lottery ticket. The Christian McCaffrey trade, now a tale of MVP numbers and a Super Bowl dreams in San Francisco. The good, the bad, the rookie. In Fitterer's defense, not every move was a disaster. Frankie Louvu was a hidden gem. Special teams revamped. Rental players adding value. But wait, there's the Bryce Young gamble. A blockbuster trade. A high-stakes bet on a rookie quarterback with 62 sacks this year, by the way. He got sacked 62 times. Yep. But Young's protection plan resembles a leaky umbrella. In the grand finale of all of this, double trouble. So what's next? Tepper now juggles 2 hunts. GM and head coach. Double trouble on a master stroke. Tepper's hiring history might give you shivers. Or deja vu. A $20.6 billion hedge fund playing puppet master in this Panthers offseason drama. The Tepper roller coaster is just beginning. GMs, head coaches, who's next in the firing line? One thing's for sure with Tepper, the offseason is a spectacle, a drama, perhaps a comedy. We'll see. We will see. But another thing is this. Okay? Another thing here is this. Okay? So let's talk about this. Okay. The Scott Fitterer is fired. This is finally something that we've been asking for as Panthers fans, the firing of Scott Fitterer. David Tepper's New Year's resolution. First things first, bye-bye Fitterer. David Tepper, the man who's been the owner for us right now, has been making the most questionable decisions as an owner. Decided to kick off the postseason festivities by booting Scott Fitterer out the door. On Black Monday, indeed. Now, Tepper finally acknowledged, I think, that the 3 years of underwhelming performance is like fine wine. But it only gets worse with time. Now we're in the market for a new head coach, new general manager, double trouble, like I was saying. Tepper, let's hope your consultant's firm has this magic wand because, buddy, you need it. Because Tepper's mic drop moment was when he fired Scott Fitterer today. Because the statement on Fitterer's departure was as brief as his attention span at a board meeting. New direction is the battle cry. Translation, we're desperately trying to get this ship out of this storm Fitterer sailed us into. Okay? You can't blame him, though, because much like his comments after the Jacksonville incident, Tepper knows how to keep it short and, well, not so sweet. It's not always sweet. The Fitterer's legacy, though, trading hope for despair. Fitterer, the man who promised a quarterback takeoff and delivered a crash landing. We finished 2-14. The only thing that was flying is the number 1 pick over to the Bears. So bravo, Fitterer. Bravo, chap. Oh, chap. He is his in on every deal. Remember that? We're going to be in on every deal philosophy. That was his philosophy. Remember that? We're going to be in on every deal. Resulted in more trade activity than success. Let's not forget the brilliant moves. Like we said before, trading away Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, right? Without effective replacements. You let Foreman walk, right? Fitterer, your legacy is like a Picasso painting. Confusing, expensive, and ultimately, not everyone gets it. Literally. And Fitterer's delusions and Tepper's redemption request, right? Redemption quest is what I like to call it. Fitterer, here's the thing I have to ask Scott Fitterer, and maybe you can answer this for me, chat. Scott Fitterer, were you surprised by the firing that you got? Because you should be. Because especially after those delusional predictions of winning the NFC South, making the playoff noise, reality check, my friend. We didn't even make noise. We made a whimper. And as for Tepper, it's back to the drawing board. Let's hope the board isn't as sketchy as Fitterer's personal evolutions. The optimism, Tepper, realizing he needs to do things differently. That's the optimism. Tepper finally realizing he needs to do things differently. At least, maybe for now, that's what he's thinking. I don't know. Let's just say that optimism is a word we use cautiously around here as Carolina Panther fans. And Panther Nation, we're ready for a roller coaster offseason. I am. Tepper's cleaning house, and we're hoping he's not just rearranging the furniture there in Charlotte. You know what I mean? So we do got some general manager candidates. There are some general manager candidates out there, right? I think there's plenty of them. Let me get to some of these comments I missed. All right, then. If we can't get a big name coach, who is the worst coach that will accept a job here with the first round less, needs a complete constructed rebuild on offense and defense? A guy that's going to be a first-year head coach, most likely Vietnam. Someone that has never done coaching or is looking to get back into the head coaching spot, maybe. So like a guy like Brian Flores, Dan Quinn, those guys that have been head coaches before, they could be. I wouldn't say those are the worst, but those are the guys that I could see coming here that would be interested because they would love to get back into that head coaching spot. Maybe Evero. Maybe they hire Evero, and Evero brings in an OC. Who knows? I mean, I think that way, Evero's done enough for me and proven to me this year, let alone having our defense ranked in the top 5 for yards per game and have the 5th best passing defense. I mean, I think Evero's done enough for me. I think that's another guy that could come here. Now, if who's the worst coach in that to accept this job? It would be like a Kellen Moore. That would be the worst coaching hire we may ever done. Calvin Ridley, Jalen Judy possibly still makes a lot of sense for me this offseason when addressing the wide receiver room issues, both Bama products. I mean, AJ Brooks, I've even thought about that scenario myself. Again, can you afford him? It all comes down to when it comes to these free agencies, can we afford them with only $40 million in cap space? This offseason, they have to make some moves with this roster. Panthers just signed now more than 10 future contracts. Let's review. Who did they sign? AJ Brooks, not to hate, but we need the Jags to give Calvin Ridley a contract so we can get a second round pick. I get that for you, Toxic, since you're an Atlanta fan. So that makes sense, right? It makes sense. It makes perfect sense. I don't think so either. He's proven to me enough to take even practice squad players and make them good. You know what I mean? Matt Chatter, Panthers just signed now more than 10 future contracts. Who? Already? Panthers signed 14 players to deals for the 2024 season, including 3 key backups. 11 members of the season's practice squad team signed. Okay. Yeah, they did. Just now. Breaking news. Breaking news, guys. Just now. The Panthers have signed. But it's nothing like crazy. I mean, I'm just going to put the title of this. Actually, I'll just share my screen. Screw it. I ain't going to put that banner up. Anyways, they just signed 11 players. Well, extended 3 and signed 11 practice squad players. So they signed 14 players. Who's making these deals, though, then? If we don't got a GM. Oh, my God. Okay. Never mind. So the Panthers signed 14 players to deals for the 2024 season, including 3 key backups and 11 members of the last season's practice squad. The team signed tight end Stephen Sullivan. Okay, I'm okay with the signing of Stephen Sullivan because we did see some production there. Defensive lineman LeBron Ray had an up and down season, but Nick Thurman did step up in these last 5-6 games. I mean, the guy did step up. I'm going to give Nick Thurman that. I mean, these guys are just going to be rotational players. I mean, Sullivan's been more productive than Ian Thomas, so I'm okay with that. The Panthers also signed 11 members of the practice squad, so to future deals. So they signed Tyreek Cohen, who has still been attempting this comeback. But then they signed, brought back Mike Boone and Spencer Brown at running back. Wide receivers, they brought in Jalen Camp, Cam Sims. Tight ends, they brought in Jordan Matthews, Chris Pierce. Offensive tackle, Badera Torah. I've never heard of him. Defensive end, Raquan Williams. And cornerbacks, AJ Parker and Lamar Jackson. Okay. So there you go. There are some signings there. There were some signings there. All right, let's talk about some general manager candidates. First person I'm thinking of as a general manager here is Adam Peters, the 49ers. I call him the 49ers architect. All right. He has been the mastermind over there. He is a prime candidate. His scouting background is a pivotal role in building the 2015 Broncos Super Bowl team. Okay. He built that. All right. And he's picky about his choices. That's why I like him. Okay. General manager. Okay. Now, Peters is interviewing with the Panthers could signal that the Charlotte is a destination worth considering. So maybe we can get Mr. Peters, okay? If we see that. Another one. Breaking signed, who's signing? I just went over it, Mad Chatter. I just went over it. The next GM, another guy I want to go over, Mike Borgazani. I don't know if you know him, but he has an Ivy League education. He's with the Chiefs right now. Could bring in an instant upgrade to the Panthers. He's been in Kansas City for 14 seasons. He's been a pro scouting expertise. He's got a potential overhaul of the college scout staffing. For me, that spells good news, right? If you want to bring somebody up, I would say Borgazani is a good one. I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong. All right. Alec Hallaby. Okay. He's kind of that analytical guru for the Eagles. And he's a unique person on this list. He's not your typical talent evaluator. Okay. He's a data-driven decision maker. So Tapper's affinity for Linux makes Hallaby an intriguing choice. With experience in the success of the Eagles organization, he could bring a much needed balance because of that data-driven decisions. Could be something they could use in this front office. Another one I've talked about before is Andy Weidel. He is a football executive over there in the Steelers, 20 years of experience. His journey was successful franchises like the Ravens, like the Eagles. Then with his current role with the Steelers, kind of adds weight to his candidacy. I think Tapper may not have crossed paths with Weedle, but their shared connections could speak some volumes. Another one is Joe Hortiz. Okay, Hortiz is the man with multiple GM interviews under his belt already and is no stranger to the success with the Ravens. He is the director of player personnel. He brings a keen eye for talent evaluation, having witnessed the Ravens' stability and success firsthand. His background as a college scout positions him well for both draft and free agent decisions. So these are just some guys I'm throwing out there. You can look them up if you want to. I'll throw these guys in the chat. These are the guys that I'm looking at. I'll throw these guys' name in the chat for you so you can go check them out. It's too many people. Too many people's names. I'm gonna throw these GM's names in the chat. You probably have heard most of these guys though. Mike Borgazani, Adam Peters. So these are the guys that I was talking about. So if you want to go look up into them, who they are. Another honorable mention in this aspect of things, go look up a guy named Rob Lohman. He's the head of scouting there in Detroit. That's another guy I would look at as a candidate. So there's a bunch of guys that I would look into. There's a lot of GMs out there we can look at, honestly. It It just all depends, man. It all depends. Especially with everything that's going on over here. Adam Peters, Mike Barzani. Yep. Clay, you're going to make me mad. What's new, dude? What is new? What is new, man? I read that Doug Morgan is being considered as well. I just don't know. If listen, there might be more that meets the Dan Morgan than meets the eye, right? We don't know, because isn't this Dan Morgan got hired last year, if I'm not mistaken, right? He's only been here a year, and he was behind Scott Fitterer. Again, we also had an owner meddling within football operations. It makes me wonder how much of Scott made these decisions. Just makes me think a little bit. Even though that there were probably some decisions that were agreed with and weren't Scott's decisions, whatever the case may be. But I think that when it comes to this whole situation, Scott Fitterer got what he deserved, and he did awful. He did awful. I mean, dude, you want to go look at this man's resume? I'll show you Scott Fitterer's resume, because here's the thing. It's the reason why everything that happened for Scott Fitterer, this is the reason why it happened right here. And I tweeted about it this morning. I said, here's the resume. I'll pull it up. You know what I mean? Like, I got receipts on this man. Okay. We've got receipts on every transaction that you've ever made, Scott, and everything you've ever said. That's your resume. You passed on 2 first-round, all right, picks for Birds. You traded CMC. You traded DJ Moore. You let the only thing I couldn't add to here was that you let Hassan Reddick and Stephon Gilmore walk. All right. You drafted Bryce Young, Sam Darnold trade. You passed on Sertain Parsons, Justin Fields. You passed on him. You missed on TMJ. I think they missed on Christensen, but some people believe that Christensen's good. I don't know yet. I think that with everything that gone on, I think it could still be a miss. You took or it's more of a risky move. Or some other risky moves. Okay. Corral, traded up for him. Brandon Smith, DJ Johnson. And then you did nothing to bolster up this team through the cornerback, the defensive line, the wide receiver, the offensive line. You didn't address any of those positions correctly this past offseason. Okay? I don't know if I'm missing anything else, but let me know if I'm missing anything else, because I don't think I am. All right. So, I mean, again, we got receipts. So, yep. Dan Morgan needs to be fired immediately. Someone still has to make decisions, I guess. I mean, because we're in the off-season mode. So, I think you have to make these decisions while, even though we fired Scott Fitterer, someone has to make some decisions. So I think that's the reason why Dan Morgan's still there. Someone has to still make decisions right now, because we're now in the offseason. I'm happy with the news about Fitterer. Me too, man. Me too. So let's talk about Bryce Young's season. Let's talk about it. There were some good moments. There were some bad moments. There were some atrocious moments. The good, bad, the ugly. That's what you want to call it, right? The opening fanfare, the Bryce Young show, right? Because, ladies and gentlemen of the chat, we traded picks like we were playing fantasy football. And what was the return on investment? Well, let's just say it's sparking more debates than pineapple on pizza. And right now, here's your front row ticket, because we're going to dissect this whole Bryce Young season right now. Okay? Okay. From the sublime to the downright catastrophic season. The good, I would say the good about Bryce is he's tough as nails. Now, Young has a date, he basically had a date with the turf more often than most people have coffee. Sacked over 60 times. That's a new definition of job security. Now, his toughness is like an armored tank, surviving the onslaught. And then the high critics aside, Young's resilience deserves a standing ovation. I've seen less punishment in action movies, I'll be honest. Another thing that he did was his extending plays. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He ran for his life and can't be an art. It can be an art form in this aspect of the game. Young's turned it into a masterpiece. And forget what they said about him not being a runner. He's been more elusive than a cat in a laser show. Let's be honest. The mobility's on point. Defenses left scratching their heads. Not bad for a debut season, I think, in that aspect of things. Maturity. He's 21 years old. Young's maturity is sharp, man. He's sharper than a samurai sword, I think. And post-game, midweek, he owns up, promises to do better, doesn't throw tantrums like a toddler, denied candy. A beacon of maturity in the league, often plagued by ego tantrums. So, bravo in that aspect of things, right? The bad, though. There is the bad. So, let's talk about the bad here. The bad was his deep ball accuracy. Okay? The downfield accuracy resembles a drunk trying to hit a pinata blindfolded. Let's be honest. Overthrows, misconnections. It's been a sad symphony. Okay. And if I only had a nickel for every time a potential big play turned into a tragedy. Another thing is elevator to nowhere. When the hype builds a point guard narrative, expectations follow. Sadly, Bryce Young missed that memo. Elevating playmakers? Nah. That's not his forte. Not this season. Layups turned into air balls. The offense resembled a broken record on repeat. We traded for a conductor, but the orchestra fell silent. The atrocious, okay, the bad, the ugly, the good. We went over the good, we went over the bad, now we're going over the ugly, the worst of the worst. Here's the ugly truth. Among quarterbacks throwing 300 plus passes, Young is setting records in the wrong categories. From DYAR to EPA play. If you don't know what that is, go look it up. He's only one ticket away to the bottom. Historical comparisons? Well, let's just say they're not handing out MVP trophies for this one. Another bad one is historical comparisons. We are in uncharted territory in this situation. Young stats are like the Titanic, destined for an icy plunge. Seriously. If you think about it. Among first-round picks, he's rubbing shoulders with Josh Rosen, Brandon Whedon's of the world. But hey, miracles do happen, right? Fourth quarter against Atlanta, second half against Green Bay, glimmers of hope, or just a cruel tease is the question. Are those glimmers of hope or just a cruel tease? Perception for redemption, a future, a new guy at the helm, fresh faces catching passes, a revamped offensive line. Could that cure the Bryce Young's rookie blues? Will 2024 be a redemption arc? Or are we in another season of a gridiron heartbreak? The curtains fall where they lie. The drama continues, and we'll see. But that's just a little bit of a breakdown of Bryce Young's rookie season. Guys, I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Make sure you pound that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. and click that post notifications bell so you don't miss out on any new content. I told y'all we had a lot to talk about today. We had a lot to talk about. Thielen wants out. Yeah, Josh, he wants to find he wants to find that contender. He wants to go to a contending team. And he thought that coming to the Panthers was that his way. I don't know what he was thinking. He got bamboozled too then, I guess, huh? He got bamboozled too. All right. Biggest failures of the season. I'm going to be honest with you. This one's a little tough for me to say. The delusions of Scott Fitterer. Not accountability Fitterer. No accountability Fitterer is what it is. Scott Fitterer was the guy who misguided us with that optimism. These bold predictions that the Panthers wouldn't be drafting in the top 10 after trading up for Bryce Young. And, well, Scott, the only thing you successfully traded was the number 1 overall pick, again, over to the Chicago Bears. Your delusional predictions make us wonder if you're evaluating football talent or daydreaming about a playoff berth. That is one of the worst decisions with Scott Fitterer this offseason, was all the promises that he made. Ben Johnson, the head coach, Houdini. David Tepper infatuation with Ben Johnson turned the coaching search into a circus, because after Johnson dished us for the Lions, it was panic stations. Okay. Instead of returning to the drawing board, Tepper opted for Frank Wright, a man who made coaching the Panthers look like trying to teach calculus to a cat. 1 win and 11 games later, and Frank Wright was shown the door. It's time to realize your coaching choices are as solid as a sandcastle in a hurricane. All right, another one. The offensive systematics. The Picasso of failure is what it was, okay? Carolina decided to join the offensive-minded coaching trend. And boy, it backfired spectacularly. And Frank Wright, the offensive coordinator, Thomas Brown, promised innovation. But we got more predictable playbook than a sunrise, okay? Vanilla concepts, lack of execution, a play calling struggle. They were trying to outdo each other in failure. I mean, Wright is history, and Brown might want to pack his bags before throwing them out for him. And Bryce Young, left high and dry, man. The grand move for Bryce Young, who hailed as this savior, turned into a tragic comedy. And in his infinite wisdom, David Tepper decided Young didn't need quality weapons because a quarterback can throw touchdowns with sheer charisma. Well, spoiler alert, he can't. Young was left with Adam Thielen as his own reliable target behind an offensive line that resembled a turnstile at a theme park. CJ Stroud is out here leading the Texans to glory while Young is drowning in incompetency. Panthers, you owe Bryce Young an apology, a better O-line, and receivers who can catch the ball. This whole season was a masterclass of disappointment, mismanagement, shattered dreams, drama. The list goes on. The only thing more inconsistent than the performance we saw on the field was decision-making from this front office. So all I have to say is to the next GM, to the next head coach, good luck, because you're going to need more than we need. You're going to need it more than we need to win. I can tell you that. Now, another thing is, let's get into the offseason game plan for the Panthers for me. Okay? The offseason game plan for the Panthers for me. Okay? Number 1, the Panthers need a clean slate. Okay? Fitterer is gone now, but the front office coach marriage has been like a Tinder date gone wrong. Okay? Ever since with David Tepper. Literally. Really, the front office and coach marriage has been a Tinder date gone wrong. You ever gone on a Tinder date? And any of y'all boys in here have I ever been on Tinder? You swipe right on some chick, you thought it was good looking, had great conversation, then you go out on a date with her and it was awful. Like, that's literally what it is. Like, revamp the front office with a coaching staff that can sing together. A marriage of minds, not a soap opera. Okay? Number 2, the head coaching hunt season. The head coach is the key, right? Who's going to orchestrate this team. The next hire. Is it going to be the Messiah of Charlotte, Ben Johnson, that everybody's thinking he's going to be? Is it going to be Mike McDonald? Is it going to be Jim Harbaugh? The lineup is rich, but this isn't just a hire. It's a lifeline. You got to choose wisely. Number 3, the roster. Okay? No mercy here. Time to make some tough calls. The roster needs a facelift, like I said. So whoever is it, the new regime, sees square pegs and round holes, let the guillotine fall. Let the guillotine fall, because football is a business, okay? Sentimentally, won't fix this. Won't fix this, guys. Football is a business. So sentimentally, you can't fix this. It won't fix this. So out with the old, in with the new. Lineman renaissance, a long-term play. Draft and develop linemen. The trenches is where wars are won, where games are won. A top-tier rookie lineman in the second round, I think, is a must. It might be controversial. Yes, maybe. Moving Aquano to guard, risky, but strategic. A potent offensive line is our arsenal. That's where it starts. Weaponize Bryce Young, guys. Bryce Young needs an arsenal. Joe Burrow got Chase. Tua's got Hill. Young needs a weapon of mass reception. Okay? Free agents, both big names. The draft is a treasure chest right now. Michael Pittman, Troy Franklin. Time to give Young his own warhead. Okay? Whatever the case may be. Another thing. Got to keep a Giro Evero here. Somehow, some way, he has been the unsung hero to this coaching staff. His defense is a fortress amidst chaos. Let him lead the charge, okay? An offensive-minded coach, keep Evero. Defensive brilliance is rare, and you cannot let him slip away, okay? Panther Nation, envision the dawn. New GM, new coach, a fortified roster, Panthers 2.0, battle ready, cap space, draft picks. The ammunition is here. The 2024 roster, unrecognizable. Change has to come. I'm not afraid of change. Panthers, do me a favor. Rise from the ashes and make this happen. Make this happen. Clean house is the name of the game for the Carolina Panthers. If Thielen leaves, you have to go wide receiver at number 33. No, you don't, Josh. There's plenty of people in free agency. You don't have to go wide receiver at 33, dude. Y'all don't understand how stacked this draft is for wide receivers. So you don't need to go wide receiver at 33 if Adam Thielen leaves. If you honestly think that we need a if you honestly think that if Adam Thielen leaves that you have to go wide receiver at 33, you're out of your mind, because this class and the free agency has so many names. So if we look at the free agency, you've got Mike Evans, Calvin Ridley, Marquise Brown, you've got Tyler Boyd, you got Gabe Davis, you've got Michael Pittman Jr., Calvin Ridley. The list goes on in the free agency, Josh. Offensive linemen do not come by very often. Your trenches are more important than your wide receivers are. So you got the free agency too, but you got the draft. You're going to be able to get a left tackle at 33 and get a wide receiver at the third round. I've seen Troy Franklin fall to the third round. You might be able to get him there. You might not. But there's this class, even like the top 15 wide receivers are could possibly be starters in the NFL. Yeah, you need both, Josh, but you're not going to get an offensive lineman that you want at left tackle. If you decide to move Ike Ekwonu, to left guard, you have to go. That's the problem, Josh. That's where we're at as an organization. If you move Ike Ekwonu to left guard, you have to have a left tackle. And I don't think Christensen's a left tackle either. He's a left guard. He's been a left. He's a left guard as well because he didn't allow a sack when he played left guard and he was healthy. I don't see us go. I mean, but here's the thing, Josh. If we trade Brian Burns, we won't even have to worry about getting a wide receiver at 33. You can. You don't have to go into the draft to get a wide receiver is all I'm getting at, Josh. You could still get a wide receiver in free agency is what I'm saying. I'm telling you right now, you don't have to go at wide receiver at number 33. And if you tag in Trey Burns and you trade some of these other guys that we've been talking about, if that's the case that they roll with, right? And they get a first round and a third round pick for Burns, you don't have to. You don't have to. What if the value just isn't there at the offensive line at 33? You can't reach for a need for the sake of it. Just look at our last draft. No, nervous. Thank you for the $5 donation. That goes a long way. I really appreciate it. No, the value, yes, value picks definitely you have to think about. If the value's not there, sure. But the value is going to be there. The value is going to be there because there is a lot of offensive line and wide receiver talent in this draft. A lot. There is a lot of weapons in this draft. But again, the free agent route, there is also. Trade Christensen for a 5th or a 6th, draft left tackle at 33. I mean, I doubt that. I doubt it. I don't see that happening. Plus, he's injured, so you can't trade him. You can't trade injured players. I get what you're saying, though, Nervish. I really do. I wouldn't say we let him. No, they won't let him walk. If anything, Nervish, they either tag him and trade him or they sign him. It's going to be one or the other. Because if you tag him, he's not going to get paid as much. Even the franchise tag's kind of expensive. It's like 21 point something mil, like 21.6 mil or something like that. I mean, he's getting paid. So he's not getting paid 30 million that he's getting, but 8 sacks on the year and you want $30 million? No, man. Not paying a guy that went from 11 sacks and then had a down year. I'm just not doing that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing that. So even the franchise tag's kind of expensive. Yep. So, but I had to get a lot off my chest, man. I mean, we talked about so much, man. Just the ending of the season today. We talked about the game recap, time to clean house, which basically was the narrative today. The coaching search competition now. The chaos is already commencing. David Tepper's intentions. Scott Fitterer is fired. General manager candidates to look into. We broke down the Bryce Young's rookie season. We talked about the biggest failures of the Carolina Panthers season and the offensive game plan, the offseason game plan for the Carolina Panthers, basically the rebuild that I was talking about last week, basically breaking it down a different way. I was out on Burns when he said he was terrified to play all year with the product he put on the field. It's time to tag and trade Burns, man. That's what's going to happen. I just think that taking offensive line in the third is better either way. I personally want a wide receiver at 33. But again, Josh, if we're going to tag and trade Brian Burns, you're going to be able to get your wide receiver in the first. You might, if it's me, I'm telling you right now, if that doesn't happen, I mean, fine. If you want to, but you're not going to get that left tackle that you really need. You have a better chance of getting a good wide receiver that you're asking for. Not saying it's a better chance than the 33. I'm just saying that you're still going to get a very good wide receiver with that first pick in the third round. You're still going to be able to. And you could then look into the free agents. See. Maybe they get sign a guy in the free agency and then they draft a guy at the third round pick. Get like a Brandon Rice or get a Jermaine Burton. Could happen. And then you get a guy in the free agency like a T. Higgins or a Michael Pittman Jr. or Marquise Brown. And if you want someone that gets open quick, then you might as well hope that they get Marquise Brown because he's the fastest out of all of those guys. Marquise Brown is the fastest out of all of them. So if you want to get the ball out quick, you better hope it's Marquise Brown because T. Higgins is a physical wide receiver. He's a go up, get it type of guy. He's like a Mike Williams, same kind of style. So, I mean, again, there's plenty of wide receivers that you can get in the free agency. Maybe they go that route. Maybe they grab one in free agency. Maybe then they get a left tackle at that 33 pick. Let's say they don't trade Burns for a first and whatever else they get for him. They get a left tackle at 33, and then you get a wide receiver at the third pick. I don't see what's wrong with that. You know what I mean? That's all I'm getting at. I mean, there's so many scenarios and so many logical aspects that we can go at this thing that we could sit here and talk about it and talk about every scenario possible of what the Carolina Panthers can and need to do, whether it's through the draft or free agency. I mean, I put together a blueprint last week, right? I went over that with y'all guys last week. I put together a blueprint. I like Troy Franklin too. I don't see him falling to the third either. I've seen him fall in mock drafts, but I don't see him falling in the third round. In mock drafts, I've seen him fall, but very doubtful. But there's guys out there that we need to be looking at. Marcos, that's why I was so, Marcos, honestly, the offseason is going to be more entertaining for us than the regular season has been. Seriously. Because there's multiple scenarios, guys, that we're going to be talking about every single day when I go live. There's going to be multiple scenarios. There's going to be multiple mock drafts that we break down. There's going to be multiple head coaching candidates we're going to talk about. I mean, once January 22nd, though, comes around, that's when they can start interviewing head coaches and I think GMs. I don't think they can interview GMs right now. Is that correct, chat? Could someone let me know in the chat? They can't interview head coaches till the 22nd, right? But does that mean the same thing for GMs, or can they interview GMs now? Or does that have to wait till the 22nd as well? Could someone let me know in the chat? Because I'm not too sure about that. I can't remember. When can teams interview? Rules don't apply to Tepper. You can interview college head coaches right now. Yeah, I mean, so I guess they could interview Harbaugh. When can NFL teams start interviewing GMs? Well, they can start interviewing coaches. They can't start interviewing NFL coaches until the 22nd. college coaches now, but what about not saying general managers? That's what I'm trying to figure out. General managers. Uh the policy originally required every team with a head coach vacancy to interview at least one or more diverse candidates before making a new. Okay, I know that. What does a GM? No, not that. Uh, I guess they can start interviewing GMs now. Uh, okay. I guess they can. So I didn't know that. I did not know that. Rules don't apply to Tepper. I know, right? You can interview how. Yeah. So maybe they started interviewing Harbaugh. Maybe they started interviewing Harbaugh. I've heard rumors that Chip Kelly wants back in the NFL. I've heard Chip Kelly wants back in the NFL. Maybe possibility. I don't know. I doubt that's going to happen though. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to hop off this live stream. It's been a long day. I hope everyone enjoyed today's live stream. Everybody in here, we're at 20. We got 28 likes. Thank you so much. So thank you for everyone that pounded the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you do that, but the ones that already did, thank you for showing your support. Goes a long way. Don't forget about BetUS. That is a sponsorship of today's live stream. You sign up for free today. The NFL playoffs are here, guys. So use BetUS. You sign up for free today. Get 125% bonus on your first initial deposit. So go check it out. This offseason is going to be interesting. Panthers requested permission to interview Buccaneers assistant GM Mike Greenberg for the general manager job. I mean, the Buccaneers draft-wise didn't they draft Chris Godwin, that offensive line, Vita Vea? Like, didn't they draft most of the players that they've had there for the past couple years? I'd like to look into Mike Greenberg real quick. I was about to hop off, but now you got me interested. Mike Greenberg, Tampa Bay Bucks. Kind of want to look at this guy's resume. Yeah, he's been there for 14 seasons. So obviously this guy has a little bit. 14 seasons. Spent 2 seasons as vice president of football administration. After 8 seasons, director of football administration. Works directly with the salary cap, contract negotiations, compliance. Wow, he works with it all, oversees everything basically. He's done a lot. He's the guy that's resigned cornerback Jamel Dean, Levante David, who are now free agents heading into 2023, this off season. But Ryan Neal, Matt Feeler, Chase Edmonds, he signed all those guys, Baker Mayfield. He's also signed Russell Gage, Akeem Hicks. Yeah, he's also part of the Rob Gronkowski, Tom Brady move, Levante David, Nakamana Sue, Leonard Fournette, Devontae Smith. He also negotiated contracts with Vita Vea. He was the one that basically also negotiated contracts with Carlton Davis, Chris Godwin, Ryan Jansen, Russell Gage, Keem Hicks, Rob Gronk. Like, he did everything in that Super Bowl year. Damn. Wow. I mean, Mike Greenberg, if that's the case, AJ Brooks, I mean, you look at his here. I mean, look at here, chat. I'm going to put in the front office since AJ Brooks put this up. Here's the guy's resume right here in the chat. So if you're interested in checking the Mike Greenberg, because apparently the Panthers have requested permission to interview the Buccaneers assistant GM Mike Greenberg for the general manager position. This man's resume kind of speaks for itself, because he's the one that, like I said, I was reading it out. He is the one who oversaw long-term contract extensions for linebacker Levante David, Mike Evans before now. He also worked on extensions for offensive linemen Smith-Marsette and Donovan Smith. Okay. Another thing is he was the one who re-signed Jason Pierre-Paul and Ndamukong Suh, who were key veteran pieces on that 2020 team. He was also the one who negotiated with Tom Brady in that 2-year contract. He was also able to negotiate a contract extension with Vita Vea back in 2021 in the Week 18. He was also a crucial part in re-signing Shaquille Barrett, Levante David, tight end Rob Gronkowski, defensive lineman Ndamukong Suh, Leonard Fournette, and then also extending Tom Brady. And then offensive lineman Donovan Smith also signed his second contract extension with that team that March. He also was known for signing free agents like Russell Gage, Akeem Hicks. Also was able to re-sign Carlton Davis, Chris Godwin, and Ryan Jansen. And then he's the one who has worked this offseason to help the Bucs with the challenging navigation of that salary cap situation this past offseason. Says in here that he was the one who extended the outside linebacker Anthony Nelson, resigning the Jamel Dean, cornerback Jamel Dean, Levante David. Now these two guys now are free agents. He also did negotiations for Baker Mayfield, Greg Gaines, safety Ryan Neal, and Matt Feeler, and running back Chase Edmonds and Chase McLaughlin. But he also looks over and works directly with general manager Jason Lynch on all aspects of things: salary cap, contract negotiations, compliance, club's financial, the strategic planning. He also oversees the budget of all football operations, including coaching, scouting, video, athletic training, equipment, groundskeeper, strength and conditioning, and player development departments. So, I mean, could be a good hire. I mean, he's the one who oversaw everything that happened with them and put that Super Bowl team put together. You know what I mean? So, I mean, AJ Brooks, thank you for coming in with that. I'm glad we got to go over that. Brandon Brown requested Brandon Brown. All right, let's look at Brandon Brown. Brandon Brown. I'm not too sure about him, though. GM from the Giants. He's only been in his second season. I mean, apparently he was, it says here, Brown in his second season as the Giants assistant general manager. He's a top associate of general manager Joe Schoen. Brown, he's 35, instrumental. He's the one that instrumental into the 2022 roster renovation that enabled the Giants to finish 9-7-1 and earn their first postseason berth in 6 years. Prior to the Giants, he spent 5 seasons in the Philadelphia Eagles. He was promoted to the team's director of player personnel in 2021. And over in that role, Brown oversaw the Eagles pro scouting department. So, I mean, he might not be bad either. I mean, if he worked with the Eagles and didn't go over, and then he didn't go over there and he joined the Eagles in 2017, and he was the assistant of director pro scouting in their first 2 seasons of that team. And then in 2019, he was promoted to director of pro scouting. And so, I mean, if that's the case, But that means that then he was if he was joined the Eagles in 2017, and he was assistant pro scouting for 2 seasons. I mean, he helped him get some dudes then. I mean, and then he was also promoted to the director of pro scouting there in 2019. And he held that position for 2 years before going to the Giants, it seems like. So, and then before that, then he spent 5 seasons after that with the Eagles, and he was okay. So, I mean, could be 2 solid guys to go after. I would say that Mike Greenberg seems more intriguing because he put that Super Bowl team together. But this guy that you just mentioned, Mike or Brandon Brown, even though he helped renovate that whole Giants team last year, but him being with the Eagles the past 5 years before that, he obviously knows scouting very well, because if you go look at those drafts that Philadelphia Eagles had, the past 2 to 3 years, basically I would even say from 2018 to 2021, they've had some decent drafts. So, I think the guy definitely can scout some talent. I'll give him that. He might be, I don't know if he would be ready for a GM role yet. But, it sounds like, AJ, I would say Brandon Brown seems better. Might be a better scouter when it comes to the draft aspects of things, but Brandon Brown could be more of a negotiator, like better with the cap space and negotiating. Yeah. So you never know, I like, listen, the thing is that AJ Brooks is that we have to be thankful. Jay Issue, what up? Dan Morgan needs to be fired. Yeah, we were all just talking about that earlier. He did help Hyatt get Hyatt, so there is that when he was slipping. So, AJ Brooks, everybody, when it comes to a GM, they're better at certain things, right? Certain GMs are better at scouting and bringing in talent through the draft, not as so much as. I mean, they can't. Some are just a rare breed, and you get everything you want. Some GMs are just better at negotiating cap space and can swindle the cap space. Some GMs are good in that aspect of things. I think everybody, when it comes down to a GM, is everybody. Yeah, but that's what I was just about to say, AJ. At least we are right now being consistent, and we are making moves now. Okay. Requested an interview with Brian Callahan for their head coaching. Well, they can't interview him till January 22nd. I mean, I guess they can send requests out now, but hey, I guess it's better than them going. I mean, well, they can't interview him until January 22nd, so it doesn't matter. They can go ahead and interview Jim Harbaugh if they want to. I'm glad to see them already moving the ball and trying to go ahead and start making this thing happen. I'm glad that this news is just popping off right now. Good, because that makes me think that, David Tepper's like, all right, we gotta get this going. The quicker we start getting these interviews, start requesting these interviews, the better. Right. So I'm glad they're moving the needle. I'm glad to hear this news is coming out. Brian Callahan is I think is a good offensive coordinator, but it's better than silence for sure. Yeah, absolutely, AJ, absolutely. All right, guys, I've been on here for 2 hours. I really appreciate everyone joining the live stream. I'll probably be on Twitter, checking out all the interviews, requests, and all that, and breaking down each and every one. Probably looking up who each and every one of these guys are. And then maybe I'll be making some posts on Twitter, just kind of giving you the aspects of who they are and breaking them down. So, and maybe we'll break them down a little bit more tomorrow in depth. So, guys, I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Make sure you pound the like button, subscribe to the channel. That's all I ask. We are up to 28 likes today in this live stream, so I really appreciate that. It goes a long way. 31 likes. Holy smokes, we hit a goal that I've been trying to reach for a while now. Well, I greatly appreciate it. I'll be live tomorrow. And as always, guys, y'all know what to do. Keep pounding. Peace.